In this video, I will share with you the best weapon, armor, and food combinations for each Valheim biome, and as a bonus, we'll reveal what I think this hammer, chest piece, and stew are the best overall in each category. Feel free to select the timestamp that interests you, and let's start with food in the Meadows. Starting in the Meadows, your choices are straightforward, consisting of cooked deer and boar meat combined with honey, yielding max stats. However, I choose to replace boar with raspberries to maximize stamina. In Valheim, stamina is your lifeblood, fueling your attacks, dodges, and evasive sprint. Your best defense in this game is to avoid being hit altogether, where maintaining high stamina will give you your best chance. But your food choices affects more than simply raw stats, but also the amount of passive healing received and duration of food benefits. For instance, by swapping boar meat for raspberries in my Meadows recommendation, I do get more stamina, but comes at the cost of my buff duration and passive healing my character receives. As a result, your choices will only get more complicated from here as we proceed into the Black Forest, and therefore it's important we cover the food basics to ensure we are making informed choices for our meals going forward. While you can't die to hunger in Valheim, you do get really sad. Well, maybe sometimes a little hangry. Anyways, each food increases your life-saving stats prioritized by the fork color in the corner of their icon. Red, health; yellow, stamina; white, a balance of the two; and blue, iter, of which you won't see until the Mistlands. A balanced diet is important as only one of any food type can be consumed at once, so 3 unique foods must be chosen. After eating, your stats will increase corresponding to those outlined in the food's description, but the effects will immediately begin to decay, slowly at first, and rapidly towards the end, based on this formula. To illustrate, here is a breakdown of the health and stamina provided by a raspberry and its deterioration over time. As you can see, at about halfway through its duration, it tilts downward before falling off a cliff at expiry. At the halfway point of any food's duration, it will begin to flash in your food bar, indicating new foods can be consumed to replace them. To keep your stats elevated, a Viking should keep their belly full and replace their foods the moment they see this indicator. If needing to change your food buffs more quickly, 2 items exist in the game that make your tummy a little upset, causing you to vomit your existing food in bukeberries found in the Black Forest or rotten meat in the Ashlands. Keep in mind, you're extremely vulnerable while blowing chunks, and if you eat before the debuff expires, that food too will be scattered to the wind. Typically, health-focused foods have longer durations than stamina and provide more passive healing. Again, illustrated by comparing boar meat and honey with a difference of 5 minutes duration and 1 HP healing every 10 seconds. With all that said, there is more to consider than just raw stats when choosing your foods, with duration being a big factor, making the newly added feasts powerful considerations in future biomes, covered shortly. With the basics understood, the Black Forest adds much improved food options with the introduction of the cauldron, following the mining and smelting of tin bars. With that, max stats can be achieved with a combo of carrot soup, queen's jam, and deer stew, matching my recommended selection in this case with my preferred choice of 2 stamina and 1 health food. The Swampy Wetlands introduces new cooking appliances in the food preparation table, iron cooking station, and first of 5 cauldron upgrades in the spice rack, and the introduction of new feasts with ingredients purchasable from the new Bog Witch's shop. To get the best out of the available foods, you will need to craft all the new cooking appliances, of which I've organized neatly in this sheet with their recipes and introducing biome. In this Google Doc, I provide a full detailed breakdown of each of the foods available in Valheim, but also a simplified look at the best in-slot foods with different options based on your playstyle. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'll share how you can get access to this document completely free. And with that out of the way, for max stats in the swamp, you will want to combine turnip stew, sausages, and black soup. But for me, I replace the soup with a muck shake for extra stamina. However, if you've both done battle with the Ocean Serpent or found the elusive Bog Witch, your max stats at swamp level progression could be vastly higher. Firstly, a serpent's meat can both be cooked on an iron cooking station or combined with mushrooms and honey at a level 2 cauldron for 2 incredibly powerful health foods that should be a staple in your diet as far as even the plains. Secondly, after beating each boss, a serpent in the case of the ocean, new spices are added to the Bog Witch's shop that can be purchased and combined with other ingredients at the food preparation table for feasts with great stats and even better durations. Feasts, unlike typical meals, are not eaten directly from your inventory, but are placed with a serving tray, also purchasable from the Bog Witch. Once served, any individual feast provides 10 meals, giving a medium tier stat boost and a massive duration of 50 minutes. Be careful though, as the placed feast can't be returned to your inventory without loss after at least one of the 10 meals has been taken. With a serpent slain and witch found, your max achievable stats for the biome rise from 213 all the way to 289 by chowing down on cooked serpent meat, serpent stew, and the ocean's feast, the sailor's bounty. As you begin your ascent, there is a simpler progression than the previous biome with only the butcher's block needed to improve your kitchen sufficiently for the best foods. Like with the swamp, without the bog witch or serpent, max stats are achieved with onion soup, wolf skewers, and ice cream, which aligns with my recommendation. Keep in mind, max stats can be boosted from 252 to 289 by replacing all foods with those found from the ocean in the sailor's bounty, cooked serpent meat, and again, the powerful serpent stew. Do note that if you have beaten Motor, the hearty mountain lager stew equals the bounty in potency if preferred. But for me, I forgo some health for additional stamina with ice cream. Heading into the grasslands comes further complexity with the flour producing windmill, grilling stone oven, and pots and pans cauldron upgrade, all being required for an optimal diet. Best in slot without feasts and serpent meat will include fish wraps, lox meat pie, and blood pudding, with baked foods now first assembled at the food preparation table before baking in the oven. In my recommended kit, I swap fish wraps for bread for more stamina, despite fish wraps providing an extra 2 healing per tick. Plus, fish are a tedious food to gather, so there's a strong argument to be made for bread having much easier ingredients to harvest. Of course, if you're a serpent slayer and feast enjoyer, max stats can be elevated to 316 from 292 by swapping lox pie for serpent stew, and if already defeated Yagluth, the Plains Pie Picnic usurps a freshly baked loaf. Into the mist we go, where only the mortar and pestle cauldron upgrade need to be added, and we can finally outgrow our reliance on serpent meat unless you're a big health guy in cooking the best meals. Although, the Mistlands introduces another complexity with Eider-based foods for spellcasters. As a result, I've included a new category for those Eider maxis, but also my personal food combo recommendations for both melee and magic playstyles. For max stats, leaning into magic is your best approach with the stuffed mushroom, seeker aspic, and the mushrooms galore a la Mistlands feast. But if you're a spellcaster, I typically replace the mushroom with Yggdrasil porridge for a little extra Eider at the expense of some stamina. If you've yet to beat the queen, you can forgo the feast with the best stamina food available to you. Before my melee recommendation, I should add the caveat that my spellcasting recommendations do make you a glass cannon and assume you are using the Staff of Protection bubble to absorb incoming damage. Otherwise, you may want to consider including a health food for better survivability. Melee, on the other hand, I, as usual, lean into 2 stamina foods and 1 health with the Misthair Supreme, mushroom omelet, and fish and bread. Salad is a nice replacement for the omelet or fish and bread, as eggs, and especially the anglerfish, can be more difficult ingredients to track down. Venturing across the steaming waters, the Ashlands adds the rolling pins and cutting boards to our perfect kitchen, achieving level 6 and enabling the game's most powerful delicacies. For max stats and incredible duration, you can take advantage of both the Ashlands and Mistlands feasts and marinated greens for a staggering 494 total stats and nearly 45-minute average duration. My recommended spellcasting kit, however, does lean further into magic by replacing the Mistlands feast with the sparkling shroom shake at the expense of some health and stamina. If you haven't beaten Fodder yet too, you can replace his feast with the Queen's. For melee, nearly 400 total stats is achievable with the Scorching Medley, Matched Meat, and Roasted Crust Pie for a good balance of stamina and health. If you want access to the spreadsheet featured frequently in this video, click the link in the video description, validate with an email, and all this can be yours. The best armor for each biome is not always what you think. Stick with me and I will share my best armor combinations for each biome and reveal why I think this armor is the best overall in Valheim. The Meadows kicks things off by providing you with rag armor in the tunic and pants. While these can be upgraded to a quality of 2, do not waste your precious leather scraps and quickly craft the full leather set. If you are fortunate enough to find bone fragments at stone structures or slay spawned skeletons at night, you could augment your armor slightly with a small armor contribution in the deer hide cape. To craft the set, you must first upgrade your workbench to level 2 by crafting either the tanning rack or chopping block, and for best results, build both to unlock a level 3 workbench, enabling upgrades to level 2 leather armor. Quality levels of 3 and 4 require additional workbench upgrades, not craftable with Meadows materials, and therefore level 2 leather armor is the best the Meadows has to offer. Moving into the Black Forest is where choosing your armor first gets interesting, with the introduction of 2 possible armor options in the bronze and troll leather sets. While bronze armor provides 2 additional armor per piece compared to the troll leather, it does also come with the downside of losing 5% movement speed from both the bronze plate cuirass and bronze plate leggings for a total of 10% reduced movement speed. Further, if opting for the full troll leather, you do receive the first of Valheim's armor set bonuses of plus 15 to your sneak skill. With all that said, my preference is typically to prioritize speed with a balance of armor. Helmets are unique in Valheim where even the heavy sets do not provide a movement speed reduction. For this reason, I propose a hybrid armor with the bronze helmet, troll leather tunic, pants, and continue using your deer hide cape for the best armor set in the Black Forest. Capes, with only one exception in the game, all provide the same armor, so there is no need to craft the troll leather cape unless fashion is a priority for you. With Black Forest materials, you will have gained the ability to craft an adza, upgrading your workbench to level 4 as well as the forge cooler, and anvils enabling a level 3 bronze helmet. In summary, the best Black Forest armor is a level 3 bronze helmet, troll leather tunic, pants, and deer hide cape. As we dwell into the murky swamp, we once again have a choice between 2 armor sets in the heavy iron and light root. The iron armor in this case provides a significant armor boost, providing 14 armor per piece compared to 8 from the root. However, the root armor provides some unique perks that must be considered. First, the root mask gives resistance to poison damage, which is powerful for anyone familiar with the dangers of this biome. Secondly, the root harness gives one of the most powerful effects in the game in resistance to pierce damage. And thirdly, the full set does provide a set bonus of plus 15 to your bow's skill. Unfortunately, the set does come with a downside in weakness to fire. But considering all that, I again like to take a hybrid approach, starting with the increased armor from the iron helmet. There is an argument to be made for the root mask, but for me, poison resistance meads provides greater resistance, and therefore I do not bother with the mask. For my chest piece, the root harness is a no-brainer with its pierce resistance, making archers trivial and maintaining its viability into late-game biomes, as we will see later in this video. For leggings, you can get a slight increase in your armor with the root, but unlike the troll leather pants, the root does give a 2% reduction in movement speed. For this reason, I choose to keep rocking my troll legs. And lastly, without the introduction of a new cape, I continue with the deer hide. Of course, the Iron Age does enable levels 4, 5, and 6 of the forge through crafting the smith's anvil, forge tool rack, and bellows, but no new upgrades to the workbench. To summarize the best armor for the swamp, we will have a quality level 4 iron helmet and a level 3 root harness, troll leather pants, and deer hide cape. As we leave the dark swamp for the freezing mountains, we are introduced to arguably the best looking armor sets in all of Valheim in the Heavy Wolf and Speedy Fenris. As expected, the Wolf adds 4 armor more than the Fenris per piece, but compensates by being the only armor in the game to boost your movement speed, giving 3% per gear piece. Plus, it gives you plus 15 to your fist skill and a resistance to fire damage as a set bonus. Considering the powerful set bonus and my appreciation for speed, this biome convinces me to abandon my preference for hybrid armor and opt in for the full Fenris set in the hood, coat, and leggings. Further, the mountain's provision of obsidian enables the final upgrade to the workbench in the tool shelf, allowing us to not only craft the full Fenris armor, but fully upgrade it as well. As for capes, you could craft the wolf cape for its frost resistance, but with the Fenris coat also providing the same benefit, it is not necessary. Keep rocking that deer hide cape, baby. In summary, the best armor for the mountains is a max level of 4 Fenris hood, coat, leggings, deer hide cape. As we put the cold of the mountains behind us and seek the sunny skies of the plains, we are offered a single armor set in the padded armor, the only biome in Valheim offering a single set. Despite my desire for max speed, I cannot overlook the massive armor boost from the padded set, with each piece providing 32 armor compared to the base 10 from the Fenris. For this reason, I elect to replace the Fenris hood with a padded helmet for increased armor. Secondly, an absolute must for the plains is to replace the Fenris coat with the root harness. With the presence of the pierce-dealing mosquitoes, the root harness's pierce resistance absolutely trivializes them. Thirdly, keep the Fenris leggings for a continued boost to your movement speed. Keep in mind, by abandoning the hood and coat, you do lose the fire resistance from the Fenris set bonus. Fortunately, the plains introduces barley wine, which you can use in situations where fire damage is a risk. To summarize our best plains armor, we will use a max level padded helmet and max level root harness, Fenris leggings, and for our cape, it's time we say goodbye to our trusty deerhide cape and opt for the level 4 wolf fur cape, as it replaces the frost resistance we have now lost by abandoning our Fenris coat. Marching into the mist is where things get very interesting with our armor choices, with the introduction of magic and a brand new style of combat and spell casting. In total, the Mistlands offers 2 new armor sets in the heavy carapace armor and the Eiderweave robe spellcasting set. As expected, the carapace provides significantly more armor with 32 per base piece compared to 16 with the Eiderweave. However, the Eiderweave more than makes up for the difference in armor, adding a total of 100% increased Eider regeneration rate across all 3 pieces, with the hood providing 20 and the robe and trousers each adding 40%. Additionally, this set reduces your movement speed by only 4% compared to 10 in the case of the carapace. In my experience, spellcasting is absolutely overpowered in Valheim, and it would be irresponsible of me to recommend any armor other than the full Eider armor set. However, if determined to remain true to the hand-to-hand combat of Vikings, I would not recommend crafting the carapace armor at all, but rather stick with what we recommended for the plains. Considering the cost of the carapace armor, the fully upgraded padded provides the same armor as the base carapace, and with Mistlands material, you will only be able to achieve quality level of 3 with the Black Forge. Similarly, the root harness is still tremendous in this biome, with Seekers and Ticks being relentless, with pierce damage further justifying my claim that the root harness is the best armor piece in the game. Whichever armor you do choose, it is necessary you craft yourself the feather cape. In addition to eliminating fall damage altogether, since the Ashlands release, it was modified to increase your jump height and reduce stamina usage when jumping, both by 20%. The only downside here is that they also tweaked the cape to be very weak to fire damage, which will make Yalls and fire mages incredibly dangerous. However, to counteract this, simply make sure you always have a barley wine on hand to mitigate this risk. As I alluded to earlier, the Mistlands introduced 2 new workbenches in the Black Forge for melee weapons and armor, and the Galder table for spellcasting gear, which both can be upgraded to level 3 with Mistlands materials. As a result, to summarize my best armor for the Mistlands, I would select the full quality level 3 Eiderweave armor set with the level 3 feather cape. The Ashen Wasteland, despite its danger and ruthlessness, does provide us powerful and distinct armor options to aid in our survival, with the most armors a biome has to offer in 3 full sets in the Ask, Flame Metal, and Endless sets. To simplify our choices of armor, I will quickly eliminate the viability of the Flame Metal set. It provides the most armor of any of the new sets, but like all the heavy armor before it, adds a significant speed reduction, and its heat resistance is effectively useless. The benefits of the Eider regeneration from the Endless set and the incredible set bonus from the Ask armor easily outclass the benefit of added armor from the Flame Metal. With that out of the way, magic like in the Mistlands is king in this biome, and for that reason, the Emblem armor is a clear upgrade over the Eiderweave before it, and I could not in good conscience select any armor aside from this set. However, like the prior biome, if dead set on being a true Viking, the set bonus of the Ask armor cannot be ignored. Ask's endurance reduces stamina by running and jumping by 10%, attacks stamina usage by 20%, and even increases damage output with Pierce by 10%. In my opinion, stamina usage reduction is a completely busted mechanic, and while Pierce damage is on the weaker side in the Ashlands, I certainly would not complain about a flat 10% buff to my damage output with bows, crossbows, and melee weapons like polearms. As for the capes, the Ashlands introduced 2 of the most powerful ever in the Ashen Cloak and Ashen Cape. The Ashen, unlike any cape before it, gives base armor of 12. It is the only cape ever to give more than 1 armor, at its base, and for that reason, it is my choice if opting to go with the Ask armor. The Aspen Cape, on the other hand, has a unique benefit in giving you a speed boost with the wind at your back, in addition to 15% stamina reduction while dodging. The speed boost gets crazy, especially in storms when the wind picks up, and is my choice when choosing the Embla armor, as with spellcasting, you are typically going to be using the staff for protection, and in those cases, the added armor of the Ashen is unnecessary. In summary, the level 5 Black Forge and level 4 Galder table available to us in the Ashlands, my choice for best Ashlands armor can be summarized as the level 3 Hood, Trousers, and Robes of Embla, combined with the level 3 Aspen Cape. The first and absolute last of this weapon class you will find on my list is the Flint Spear. Spears are my least favorite weapon class in Valheim, but the benefits of using this in the early game cannot be ignored for the following 3 reasons. 1. It is cheap. It costs far fewer leather scraps than the crude bow, but still provides you range capabilities with its secondary attack. Use the spear throw to hunt deer for their hide rather than the expensive bow. 2. The vertical drop-off of the ranged attack is more consistent than the bow once you get comfortable with it. Plus, it fires more accurately than the crude bow, which tends to veer to the left of where you're targeting. And third, it has incredible attack speed and pierce-dealing damage, making it viable beyond the Meadows into Valheim's second biome, the Black Forest. And speaking of pierce damage, to effectively evaluate the best weapon in the upcoming biomes, we first need to understand damage and creature resistances before we can proceed. First, there are 8 types of damage we need to concern ourselves with in Valheim. 3 physical in Pierce, Blunt, and Slash, and 5 elemental in Fire, Frost, Poison, Lightning, and Spirit. Second, most creatures in Valheim will have resistances to damage types, taking reduced damage from them, as well as weaknesses, receiving increased damage from those types. Each weapon in your arsenal will deal one or many of these damage types, of which you can determine by inspecting your weapon. In choosing our preferred weapon in the biomes going forward, we will consider the creature's strengths and weaknesses and match our preferred weapon to take advantage of them. And with that out of the way, let's dive into the Black Forest. With the acquisition of bronze, you should craft the first of my favorite weapon class in Valheim in polearms with the bronze Akir. This weapon class absolutely crushes with its massive pierce damage, long reach, and overpowered secondary spinning attack. The Grey Dwarf clan that inhabit this biome will look to swarm you, and the Akir secondary attack allows you to hit multiple targets at the same time, with the bonus of neutralizing them with applied stagger. That said, where this weapon truly shines is against the first true threat in Valheim in the Troll. Trolls are weak to the pierce damage dealt by the Akir, and further, you can easily stagger lock them with the secondary attack. Hit them with the attack, wait for them to wind up their next, and hit them with it again. Alternatively, while we will not cover the ocean biome specifically, progressing to the Black Forest unlocks the capability to craft a boat and take to the sea. If you are lucky and discover a Leviathan, you can mine their chitin and craft the Abyssal Razor. This weapon is absolutely busted for the Black Forest as it deals damage comparable to the Iron class of weapons, only obtainable by progressing into the dangerous swamp. This dagger, like the flint before it, does both slash and pierce, allowing us to still take advantage of the troll's weakness, but also allows us to avoid the pierce resistance of the skeletons in the burial chambers due to it also dealing slash damage. Further, daggers are unique in that they have twice the backstab bonus for other weapon classes, meaning they deal 6 times their damage when hitting unaware targets. Simply sneak up on a troll and absolutely devastate them. Summarizing the Black Forest before heading into the swamp, it's safe to say that either the Akir or Razor will lead you to success in this biome. Unlike the previous region, blunt damage sets itself apart in the swamp, with our number 1 choice being the Iron Mace. Of all the creatures in the biome, we have very few weaknesses to work with, except for the blobs and oozers, both being weak to blunt damage. The 2 exceptions to this rule being the Night-Crawling Wraith and Spooky Abomination. In these cases, you will want to avoid blunt and pierce damage and look for elemental damage when you can, or at least slash damage, like from an axe in the case of the Walking Stump. All that said, the best part of the Iron Mace is how powerful it is against the biome's boss in Bone Mass. Unlike most other bosses in the game, this boss has a weakness to both blunt and frost damage. For this reason, the Iron Mace will absolutely terrorize the giant green menace. In short, you can't go wrong with the Iron Mace in this biome. Moving to the mountains, this biome introduces the first range weapon as my preferred choice with the Draugr Fang Bow. This biome contains the first airborne creature in Valheim in addition to a flying boss. Like the Drake, Motor also enjoys a nice trip into the sky. Further, you will want to keep your distance from the lethal wolf pack. It is my preference to use stealth against these bad doggos as much as possible, often one-shotting them with a single arrow when unaware of your presence. The strength of this weapon extends inside the frost caves, as both cultists and wolves have a weakness to poison. The added poison damage of the Fang will melt these enemies. All that said, if determined to force melee weapons, any of the Iron class weapons will do, and with silver acquired, you cannot go wrong with the Frostner. The Frostner is very likely the most well-rounded weapon in all of Valheim, dealing blunt, frost, and spirit damage. In addition, you should not underrate the added benefit of the slow effect applied by the mace. As I alluded to in the open, you might just see the Frostner referenced again as we proceed into the most difficult biomes the game has to offer. The Plains allows us to return to the best weapon class with the black metal Acure. Like the bronze before it, offers the same benefits of the pierce damage, great range, stagger, and a powerful secondary attack. In the case of the Plains, it allows us to handle the horde of fueling with its spinning attack. Further, the mighty locks having resistance to blunt and slash physical damage with the pierce of the Acure breaking through their thick fur coats. However, before acquiring the black metal for the Acure, the Frostner is a good option, enabling control of the swarm of fueling with the slowing freeze effect. Plus, unlike the pierce damage of the Acure, the paralyzing growths from tar pits, while resistant to pierce damage, are weak to both frost and blunt, making the Frostner best for dealing with them. Unfortunately, the Loxodon's resistance to blunt and frost neutralizes this weapon. In this case, bow and arrow might be the way to go, which leads me to my sleeper pick for the biome in the Huntsman bow. In my opinion, the best approach for conquering fueling villages is with a bow picking off one fueling at a time, in which the Huntsman stands out for its reduced attack noise. The attack noise takes effect when hitting a target. Hitting a creature will alert all others within its attack noise radius. Most bows have an attack noise of 15 meters, while the Huntsman is reduced to only 4. For this reason, you can snipe fueling without alerting others more easily. Likewise, this works well for attacking locks, normally found in groups of 3. There is nothing worse than fighting multiple enemies at once in Valheim, but the black metal Acure will be there to cover your back when all else fails. With the introduction of the Mistlands, Valheim adds magic for the first time. For this reason, I will provide both my melee and magic recommendations for each biome going forward. First, the Mistwalker stands out for the melee enjoyers, like the Frostner before it, but dealing slash rather than blunt. The most common creatures in this biome are the Seeker and Seeker Soldier, both having resistance to all physical damage, making elemental damage king amongst the mist. For this reason, the Mistwalker stands out, adding frost to its slash. The enemies in this biome will attack you quickly and attack you in numbers. Once again, the slowing effect of the frost damage sets this apart, allowing you to slow and outmaneuver your foes. Before getting the Mistwalker, the Frostner will once again be a good replacement. For the spellcasters out there, I may turn some heads with this choice, as the Staff of Frost is my go-to for the biome, and in many ways may be the best weapon in the game. Like the Frostner and Mistwalker, it does frost damage, allowing you once again to slow your enemies, increasing your survivability. The only downside of this weapon is its range being quite short, but trust me, the Seekers, Soldiers, and Ticks will not hesitate to get up close and personal. That said, the power of magic, in my opinion, is combining staffs together. My preferred approach is to summon a protective bubble with the Staff of Protection and use the Staff of Frost for short range and Embers for distant targets. In summary, pick the Mistwalker if melee is your preference, and Staff of Frost if spellcasting is more your style. The best weapon for the Ashlands biome is without a doubt the new weapon class in the Berserkir axes, and specifically the Thundering version for that sweet lightning damage and chain lightning proc chance. The Ashlands introduces a wide range of undead and skeletal creatures with high levels of resistance to pierce and poison damage, reducing the viability of those damage-dealing weapons. Further, not a single creature is resistant to lightning, with even a couple being weak to the damage type. On top of that, the biggest spike in difficulty from the biome is the sheer quantity of enemies you will encounter. For this reason, the chance of chain lightning is invaluable in its ability to chain to various targets at once. However, before getting your hands on the new class of Ashlands weapons, the Mistwalker and once again, the timeless Frostner are great choices. Many of the biome's creatures are weak to spirit damage as provided by these two weapons, and again, the freezing effect provided by Frost will stand out. For the spellcasters out there, Once again, the Staff of Frost for its freezing damage will be excellent for controlling the various mobs. As you progress the biome and unlock recipes for the new staves, I would personally recommend the Staff of the Wild. As mentioned, the difficulty of the biome comes from the number of creatures. This staff allows you to summon roots, attacking all nearby targets, allowing you to fight many enemies at once. Plus, the roots will have a chance to completely immobilize the enemies with the root proc effect. Overall, magic is king for the Ashlands in my experience, so get the Staff of the Wild as soon as you can, but if opting for melee, the Berserker axes will tear your foes apart. But never sleep on the best overall weapon in the game, the Frostner. And while that covers the best weapon for each biome, these two videos right here will give you even more details on every weapon in Valheim.